Welcome back here on the Conversation Corner. I'm sitting here with Steve Lloyd, co-host of the Healthy Scratches on the Team 1200. Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Good to be here.
All right, so let's get right into it. Let's talk a little bit about the Ottawa Senators. They have a top 5 pick this year. Who do you feel the Senators will take with that pick?
Well, they're not doing themselves any favors lately by winning more games as they're sliding down right now. But last night they lost, so and that's kind of a lot of the talk we're getting from the fans and the emails and the calls. They want to see their team win on game day, but big picture, they want them to lose because you don't want to be bad forever. So if you can get a high pick, it's better. The scouts I've spoken to so far, and just trying to get a consensus, there seems to be separation after the top 3. Adam Larsson, the Swedish defenseman, Gabriel Landeskog, who plays for Kitchener, of course, also a Swede, and then you got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with the Red Deer Rebels in the dub. Those 3 guys seem to have separated themselves from the pack, but you never know until, on draft day, because everybody has their different charts from team to team. But then you're getting into Sean Couturier, you're getting into Huberdeau out of the Q as well, and you're getting into Ryan Strome possibly from the Ontario Hockey League. So the top end of the draft's pretty good. They're going to get a good player, but I think I'd want to be picking in the top 3, just the people I've spoken to. You'd want Nugent-Hopkins, Landeskog, or Larsson.
If Ottawa ends up being 5th or 4th, do you think that they could use maybe combination of picks to try to move up into that top 3? Do you see that happening?
I think they'll try if they really targeted a guy they think is not going to fall to them, because they've got, I think it is, as of the way the standings are today, they've got, I want to say 5 picks in the first 60.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of draft picks, including two firsts and 2 seconds. So they have a few chips in the game. And Brian Murray's already said, we had him on a few times, that he will be active on trade day. Maybe not necessarily trying to trade up for another pick, but they might use the pick to trade up to get a player as well. Get creative. They want to make this turnaround as quick as they can. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to be a Sens fan on draft day this year.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm pretty excited for it. So right now, Ottawa, their prospect pool, defensively they're very deep, but offensively they're a little thin. Who do you think is Ottawa's top prospect at this point?
Offensively?
Defensively, anyway.
David Rundblad.
Yeah.
David Rundblad, today, by the way, he was just named Swedish Defenseman of the Year in the Swedish League. They call it the Börje Salming Trophy after the great Leaf defenseman. He had 50 points in 55 games. 3rd overall in elite league scoring, and that's a man's league. That's not a junior league. He's 20 years old, and I went back and looked at the stats on that through the history of the league. That's never happened. A 20-year-old defenseman has never dominated like that, and they've already slotted. I've spoken to Pierre Dorian many times in Sens management. He thinks he's going to be a star very soon. He's going to cut his teeth, obviously, but he's going to be on their blue line. There's no debate. He's on the Sens.
Oh, yeah,
they're not even thinking about American Hockey League. Yeah. Not to put pressure on the kid, but they're that confident that he's that much of a prospect.
Yeah.
I'd say he's more of a prospect than Cowan, and Cowan could very well be on the team as well. But Rundblad's the stud that they have.
Yeah, I agree. So Ottawa's had obviously a lot of Binghamton call-ups. Who do you think has made the biggest impact on the team?
I like Colin Greening the best, to be honest with you. Bobby Butler, I think it remains to be seen if he's going to be a legitimate goal scorer at this level in the long term. He's going through a bit of a dry spell right now. I still think he's a good prospect, but I guess maybe the way I'd phrase the question would be, who do you think is going to be on the team out of this group right now?
Yeah.
In the fall, I think it's Greening. I think he can play 3rd-line minutes, kill penalties for you. He's big, fast, drops the mitts sometimes. We haven't seen that at the NHL level. Plays a very simple game, and he's got the size and speed, and I think he can be on the team.
I feel like he's a Kelly replacement almost.
Well, he's a winger, not a center, but he's responsible that way.
Yeah.
But in terms of hockey sense, Eric Condra thinks a game a little bit more like Chris Kelly. But the thing with Condra is foot speed. He's going to have to improve on that.
So how long do you think it'll take for Ottawa to be a contender again in the NHL?
Well, I think they're an absolute long shot to make the playoffs next year.
Yeah, me too.
But having said that, I wouldn't rule it out. It all depends on the play of Craig Anderson. Anderson got a young Avalanche team to the playoffs last year that wasn't supposed to mature as fast as it did. So if they can get elite level goaltending, they got a chance to make the playoffs. That's the way the NHL works. But in terms of being a Stanley Cup contender, I still think they're probably 3 to 5 years away from getting back to the level they want to be at.
All right, so quickly, who do you find right now is the Stanley Cup favorite? Who do you have winning the Cup this year?
I picked Detroit the preseason, and I'll stick with it. Only because I think Franzen and Datsuk are going to be healthy to come back. They're a fairly well-rested team for once. They didn't have a major deep playoff run like they usually do. But that's such a tough question, boy. I think
there's a lot of contenders this year.
I think Vancouver losing Hamhuis is huge
Yeah,
on their
too.
blue line, and Edler's already still out. I like the Canucks, but that kind of scares me. And you know, they could get blown out in the first round. It's,
And
it's so deep in the Western Conference.
they could be playing the Hawks in the first round, too.
Yeah, it's so tough. It's, boy, you know, I'm going to have to think about it some more, but I'll go with the Pat answer because I said Detroit before. I'll stick with it.
All right, thanks a lot, Steve. I appreciate it. We'll be right back here on Jock Shop.